Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 16 of What If the Maximals crashed landed in Remnant. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 32. Before the storm. Atlas. It was an uneventful evening in Atlas, as Tigatron calmly walked about. But that ended when he felt the hair on his body stand up. Confused and worried he looked around trying to find whatever was causing this. That was when his optics went wide. He saw a mountain glowing. It almost looked like an energon buildup. But it couldn't be. If it was, then his onboard scanners or the Axelon scanners would have picked it up. Tigatron to Axelon. Said Tigatron into his radio only to get static. Tigatron to Winter. Tried Tigatron again only to someone closer but got the same results. Tigatron growled as part of him wanted to see what this was. But the other part that said he should get back up and report this one out. Tigatron looked at the glowing mountain one more time as he got a bad feeling in his spark chamber as he ran off to report this. Vacuo, Darkside. In the Darkside, Megatron was in his private chambers. But for once he wasn't doing or planning anything as he was fast asleep in his chair. Or least until a speaker and screen came down before him. Attention Megatron, said the computer as it woke Megatron up. This is code at alert. For your audio circuits only. Continued the computer as Megatron slowly woke up as a monitor came down before him. Report, said Megatron now fully awake and curious. An energy anomaly has been detected in Atlas. At coordinates 796. Informed the computer as Megatron looked at the data before him curious and a bit fearful. Maximals? Asked Megatron, but part of him knew better. Negative. The anomaly is of alien origin. Answered the computer as it brought up all the previous exposures they had on file with the aliens. I see. This could be it, said Megatron as he needed to know what was going on. Closest Predacon? Asked Megatron as he wasn't sure his organic allies could handle whatever it was. Inferno. Answered the computer as Megatron groaned at that. The ant was loyal but had some major bugs in his program. Atlas, glowing mountain. At Atlas the mountain was still releasing its unknown energy as it caused the top of the mountain to break apart to reveal that it was hollow near the top. Inside the mountain was a small pool of water. In the middle of the pool was a small island with a stone slab in the middle. And on one side of the slab was a golden disc. The ground shook as Inferno in beast mode came out of the ground and looked around. He then saw the disc and gasped. By the great smelter. The royalty was correct, said Inferno as he walked over to the edge of the pool. Once there he transformed and used his jets to fly over to the slab. He landed on the side with the disc and started to pull on it. The disc was stuck where it was causing Inferno to put more effort into it, until the disc came out. Inferno landed on his back as his internal computer went off. Warning, energon level in danger zone. Warned his computer as Inferno didn't care. He then activated his jets and flew out of the cave, as he couldn't wait to give his queen this disc. Vacuo, Darkside. At the Darkside, Megatron looked at the disc, as it was being held in a force field in his chambers. Well done, Inferno. Praised Megatron as Inferno saluted him. It is what I long accepted, yes. Said Megatron as he addressed Inferno. Go repair yourself. I have much to do. And what of Roman and Adam? Asked Inferno curious. That made Megatron stop as he did forget about those two. There were pros and cons about telling them about this. And that wasn't even considering Cinder and her group. If they ask, tell them I'm busy with something that could change the course of this war. Instructed Megatron as it was true. Yes, my queen, said Inferno as he bowed to Megatron and left. I'd wish he stopped calling me that, said Megatron as he heard the men snickering and such. But his optics went to the disc as he had a lot of work ahead of him. Atlas, near the glowing mountain. It was a few days later as Optimus flew through the air near the area Tigatron told them about. The Axelon scanners did pick up the energies, but they couldn't contact Tigatron at the time. But by the time they got there, whatever was causing it was gone. So Optimus and Skyshooter were scanning the area looking for anything and have found nothing. But as Optimus flew, he failed to see a container, but it scanned him. It then released a glowing orb that flew after Optimus. Optimus was unaware of the orb until it was right on top of him and flew by him. Seeing this, Optimus thought it could have been what he was searching for, as he then chased after it. Optimus chased the orb for a bit until stopped, and the orb opened up to reveal it was some sort of hologram projector. It then projected Megatron's head. Seeing this, Optimus stopped just before Megatron's head. Optimus Primal greeted Megatron. "Well, Megatron, I would say it was good to see you. But my truth circuits would overload," said Optimus as he scanned the area, as this wasn't normal for Megatron. "This is no time for pleasantries, Maximal. No, I have a matter of urgencies to discuss," said Megatron as this caught Optimus off guard. "So discuss," said Optimus, not trusting this. "Not like this. In person, yes. Neutral territory. You may bring Ruby Rose with you as I will bring Adam with me. But no one else," said Megatron as Optimus laughed at hearing that. "What makes you think I'll agree to that?" asked Optimus, wondering if Megatron thought he was stupid or something. "Because what I wish to discuss is a truce," said Megatron as Optimus was shocked to hear that. "1 hour from now, coordinates will come momentarily," said Megatron as his image left and a map with coordinates appeared. Optimus floated there for a minute as he weighed his options before sighing. Oh. Vale, Beacon, teams RWBY and CFVY room. At Beacon, both teams RWBY and CFVY were in their dorm room. Coco was looking at her new weapon fashion bites. They were simple bracelet-like objects attached to her gloves. Depending on how Coco formed a fist would determine if they shot eclectic dust or could be turned into a taser. Think Black Widow, Widow bites. I got to say, Red, if being a leader or huntress doesn't work out, you have a field in making weapons, said Coco as she wasn't sure about her fashion bites at first, but she loved them now. She can't hear you, said Yang as she pointed at Ruby, who was working on a laptop while listening to music. Is she still working on Anisadora? Asked Coco, surprised. Actually, she thinks she solved the problem of me losing the photos after I used them. Now she's running tests, said Velvet, as that was Anisadora's greatest weakness. They then saw Ruby tape her earphones as she received a call. What? Cried Ruby, shocking everyone in the room. When? I'll be there, said Ruby as she started to put her stuff away. Ruby, what's wrong? Asked Weiss, worried. Megatron wants to talk to me and Optimus, said Ruby as she grabbed her gear. About what? Asked Fox, wondering why Megatron wanted to talk. A truce, said Ruby as this shocked everyone. Coco, I want you to get everyone to the Axelon, bot, human, and faunas. Whatever going on here might change the course of the war, instructed Ruby as she left the dorm as her teammates were worried. Oh. Mistral. About an hour later, Optimus flew up a mountain with Ruby on his back. Once they got near the top, they saw Adam and Megatron in beast mode there. Seeing it was clear, Optimus flew over. Once close to the ground, Ruby jumped off and Optimus transformed into beast mode. Alright Megatron, you called the meeting. What's this slag about a truce? Asked Optimus as he and Ruby glared at the Predacon. I want to know as well, said Adam as this confused the Maximals a bit. Absolutely true. I assure you, yes, said Megatron as Adam glared at him. From the sounds of things, not even your own second in command knew you were doing this, said Ruby, only to get a grunt out of Adam. I assure you, if you agree we will follow the truce, said Megatron as he dodged the question, as he looked at Adam when he said that. When Predacons talk truce, it just means they need time to reload their weapons, stated Optimus as he wasn't buying this. Under normal circumstances, yes. But not now. Things have arisen. Things which require my undivided attention, said Megatron as this confused the others. To be blunt, Optimus Primal, I have no time to waste on Maximals. Thus, I wish a truce, continued Megatron as he turned away from Optimus and Ruby. The two looked at each other, unsure what to say. Megatron, you almost sound scared, said Ruby as this got everyone attention. What did you say? Asked Megatron as he turned to face Ruby. Just the way you're talking. It almost sounds like you're worried, she told the Predacon leader. Believe me when I say this, worry is the last thing on my mind, said Megatron as Optimus stepped in front of Ruby protectively. Do you take us for fools? Asked Optimus as he wasn't sure what Megatron's goal here was. No, I take you for Maximals, And as such you'll agree," said Megatron as he started to walk off. Hearing that both mentally agreed with him, and they hated that. But a truce might help bring the Beast Wars to an end without terrible losses on both sides. That was when Ruby realized something. "Wait," said Ruby as Megatron stopped. "I wish for a special ruling on all organics on either side," said Ruby as Megatron was curious. "Go on," he told her. "All organics may carry their weapons with them, for the sole purpose of defense against Grim," said Ruby as Adam thought about it. "I agree. We don't have energon in our veins," said Adam. "Very well," said Megatron as Optimus also agreed. "We're going to talk Megatron when we get back," said Adam as they two left through a ground bridge. Seeing they were alone, Ruby spoke up. "I just know how General Ironwood going to react to this," she told Optimus, who could only sigh as he could as well. Oh. Vale, Patch, Axelon. The two returned back to base and called in everyone for a meeting about the truce. And some were more vocal about it than others. "A truce? For booting up cold," whined Ratrap as he couldn't believe they agreed to this. "I cannot believe you two agreed to this," said Dinobot furious. "We all know this is going to bite us in the end," said Kiro as his eyes were on Ironwood. "Everyone please calm down and let them speak," said Ozpin, trying to calm down some of them, as they did. "Thank you, Professor," said Optimus as Ozpin nodded at him as Ruby spoke up. "We understand how you feel, but there's more to this," she told everyone. "What do you mean?" asked Winter curious. "Megatron sees us a nuisance right now. He's more worried about something else right now," said Optimus as Rhinox got thinking. "Do you think this has something to do with that alien energy anomaly?" asked Rhinox as the timing was too perfect. "It has to be. We never found out the source," said Skyshooter as the room got quiet. "Then our worst fears could come true. The aliens might be coming back," said Optimus as they knew nothing about them, other than they have power they couldn't dream of. "Ruby back on the floating island, you said it must be the Quintessence. Who or what are they?" asked Weiss curious. Hearing that every bot looked unnerved, even Ruby. "They created the first generation of our race," said Optimus as he continued. "They used us as slaves, until we revolted. It wasn't until after the Great War they returned. They didn't care much of other species other than how they could be used for their interests. But then one day they just vanished. No one know what happened to them and they hoped they would never return." Hearing that unnerved their organic allies. To hear that about how the Transformers came to be was wrong. "I did say that, but this isn't their style. There's nothing to gain here," said Ruby as she was deep in thought. "Ruby, what about your inside source?" asked Cheater curious. "Nothing," said Ruby with a sigh. "Either they know nothing, or Megatron has a communication blackout in effect. Listen, we can talk about this for hours, but in the end Megatron knows or has something giving him an edge," said Kiro as he's seen this before. "Then it's time," said Ironwood grimly. "Time for what, mate?" asked Boomer a little worried. "I'm gathering my army and we're attacking the Predacon base," said Ironwood, shocking everyone. "Is he serious?" asked Speedclaw to Bladigator. "He is," said Bladigator as the day they fear had arrived. "We have a truce with them right now, Ironwood. And we will not break it," said Optimus sternly. "Then maybe it's time I leave this group," said Ironwood sternly. "James, listen to reason," said Glinda as she couldn't believe he's doing this. "Glinda, ever since I learnt of this war, Megatron has been 2 steps ahead of everyone. It's time for action. Who's with me?" said Ironwood as no one moved, not even Winter. "James, if you do this, you could start another great war, when Vacuo sees your fleet coming, with no reason. Is that what you want to be remembered for?" asked Ozpin with a serious face. The two headmasters stared at each other, neither backing down, until Ironwood turned around and left. "He lasted longer than I thought," said Kiro offhandedly as no one, not even Winter, said anything. "Winter, keep an eye on him. I'm worried what he'll do," said Optimus as Winter didn't say anything as she left. "So, that happened," said Yang as the tension was still in the room. "What do we do?" asked Velvet worried. "For now, we focus on Megatron. If we do anything with Ironwood right now, it will most likely backfire on us," said Optimus as Ozpin agreed with him. "So how do we learn what he knows?" asked Yatsuhashi as their hands were tied. Ruby thought about it as she got an idea. Let's just ask him then. She told the others, surprising them. Ruby, you can't be serious, said Yang as she wasn't going to let her go anywhere near that place. Megatron will never share anything with us, said Dinobot as this caused Ruby to grin. I know, said Ruby, confusing everyone, as she then explained her plan to them. Vacuo, Darkside. At the Darkside, Roman and Adam were in one of their secret meeting spots, discussing the truce. Wait, said Roman, confused. You're telling me you know nothing? That's right, said Adam as it frustrated him to no end. What's going on here? Roman asked himself. Megatron was a hard guy to understand at times, but this was on a whole new level. Any ideas? Asked Adam as he was out of his depth. Roman thought about it as nothing came to his head. Megatron covered his tracks well. In the end he only had two options. As I see it, we have two options right now. We could make some sort of deal with tarantulas, or we can ask Megatron to tell us, said Roman as both men laughed at that option. Like that will happen, said Adam as he needed that laugh. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that, said a voice that made both men freeze. Turning their heads, they saw Megatron there smirking at them. Megatron, said Roman as his flight instincts were telling him to run. Ah, what a nice meeting place, said Megatron as he looked around. No cameras, out of anyone's way, a nearly perfect place for secret meetings. Both men got worried as they slowly went for their weapons as Megatron just smirked. Please, if I was going to do something, I would have by now, he told the two as he was right. Why are you here, Megatron? Asked Adam. His hand was still by his sword. To tell you the truth, said Megatron as Adam and Roman looked at each other. They then started to laugh as Megatron didn't expect that. When the two clammed down, Roman took the lead. You don't do that, Megatron, said Roman as Adam agreed. While that may be true, in this case let's just say, I may need some help, said Megatron as this confused them. Alright, let's talk, said Roman as Megatron had his attention. Not here. While this is a good spot, we need some more secretly and security. Follow me to my quarters, said Megatron as both Adam and Roman, not sure, but in the end followed him, as this wasn't like Megatron and that worried them. A bit later, Tarantulas was in a vault, in the lower levels of the Darkside. The spider laughed as he activated a mic. Open Trans Vault Module 16. Voice code Megatron, said Tarantulas into the mic as it gave an exact copy of Megatron's voice. Voice code Megatron acknowledge, said the computer as it thought it was Megatron. Tarantulas rubbed his claws together as the container in front of him opened. He thought of using Mercury to do this, after all the brat did owe him one. But with all the eyes on him and the fact that he couldn't afford any screw-up changed his mind. Tarantulas saw 4 containers come out of the container. He pressed down on one and trapezoid-shaped container came out. Tarantulas pulled it out, revealing the bottom half happened a pulsing energy core. 75% power. It will have to do, said Tarantulas as he inspected the device. Freeze, said a voice from behind Tarantulas. Curious, the spider bot turned around and saw a White Fang member pointing his gun at him. This area's off limits, Tarantulas, said the member as he never took his eyes off the bot. Then what are you doing here? Asked Tarantulas, took a step forward only for the member to thrust his gun at him. Don't even think of moving, said the member as he moved his hand to get his radio. Seeing this, Tarantulas tossed an orb at the White Fang member, realizing a purple gas. The member coughed as the gas knocked him out. Seeing this, Tarantulas grabbed his leg and dragged him out of the vault. The then walked over to a crate and pulled out a bottle of hard liquor and emptied some of it before putting it in the member's hand. And for the finishing touch, he made sure the member's gun was in his hand and pulled the trigger. The blast hit the other cores, causing the vault to blow up. Seeing this, Tarantulas laughed as he walked away. But little did he know he was being watched. In Megatron quarters, Megatron watched the whole thing with a smirk. All the while Adam and Roman were also in the room, but with shocked expressions after what they learned. That spider hacked his way into my data tracks, chuckled Megatron as he who someone did that, now he knew who. Megatron then turned to Adam and Roman. Tell me, now that you know the truth, what will you do? Asked Megatron, curious. To say the two were shocked would be an understatement. But it was Roman who spoke up first. Megatron, do you know how I survived as long as I did? Asked Roman as Megatron shook his head no. It was because I was smart. I knew when to cut loses, or to press someone. I knew that trusting people would harm me in the long run. That in order to live I'd had to learn from my mistakes. And I know you didn't tell us everything. That's what you do. And I know you're pushing your luck with this. And if I had somewhere else to go where I knew I'd be safe I'd be heading there, but I don't. Hearing that, Megatron laughed. That's what I like about you, Roman. You know when to strike and when to cut losses. Said Megatron as he looked at the two. But know this, if things work out the way I plan, you two will be the most powerful men on this world. Megatron told them as Adam did like the sound of that. And what of Cinder? Asked Adam, wondering where she sat in all this. We shall see, was all Megatron said, as even he wasn't sure at the moment. Oh. Vacuo. Flying over the skies of Vacuo was the Maximal dropship. Inside was Skyshooter, who was flying the ship, Ruby, Dinobot, and Velvet. This is crazy, said Dinobot as he sat there with his arms crossed. You sound a bit like Rattrap there, Dinobot. Joked Skyshooter, only to get a growl out of Dinobot, as his face went serious. But he is right, Ruby. A lot can go wrong here. Skyshooter told her as Ruby nodded. I know, but options are limited right now. Said Ruby, serious as she then smiled. And that's why I picked all you to come with me. Ruby, I understand Skyshooter is our pilot, and Dinobot because he knows the Darkside. But why am I here? Asked Velvet, confused. That's because you're the bunny of doom to them. Said Ruby with a chuckle as Skyshooter and Dinobot also chuckled. Velvet just blushed as she put her head in her hands and moaned. Ever since Coco and Yang heard that, they've been teasing her about it. But in all seriousness, Velvet, your semblance doesn't break any part of the truce if we come to a fist fight or something like that. Ruby told her as this made Velvet smile. We're coming up on the Predacon defense grid. Warned Skyshooter as they all got serious. Okay, stop here for now. Instructed Ruby as the ship came into a hover. Predacon base, come in. Said Ruby over the radio as they awaited a reply. At the Darkside, Megatron was relaxing as he brushed the teeth on his T-Rex head when his comms went off. Yes? Asked Megatron as he continued to brush his teeth. Megatron were receiving a call from Ruby Rose. Said the White Fang member, making Megatron curious. Very well, put it through to here. Instructed Megatron as he heard the lines change. This is Megatron. Said Megatron as he was checking his teeth. In the jump ship, Ruby smiled. Megatron, I request permission to land at the Darkside for face-to-face dissections. Said Ruby, hoping he will say yes. And may I ask why? Asked Megatron, curious. To discuss the aliens, was all Ruby said as the line was quiet for a bit. This made everyone in the ship nervous. How many of you are there? Asked Megatron, breaking the tension in the ship. There are 4 of us. Myself, Dinobot, Skyshooter, and Velvet. Answered Ruby as she awaited his response. And are you armed? Asked Megatron as Dinobot growled at hearing that. No, but the ship still is. Though the weapon systems are off. Answered Ruby as Grim may attack them mid-flight. Very well, you may land. I am turning off the defense system now. Follow the instructions when you get closer. Said Megatron as Ruby nodded to Skyshooter as he flew forward. She then turned to Velvet, who sent a text on her scroll. Soon they arrived and landed at the Darkside, and when they walked out, they were greeted by the sight of 20 White Fang members, and several of the Predacons along with Megatron. Ah, Miss Rose, what do we owe this pleasure? Asked Megatron as Ruby noticed what he said. I wish to discuss something about the truce with you. In private. Said Ruby as she knew better than to blab things right now. If they're right about the aliens, the last thing either side wants is for someone to start blabbing. And that could cause panic on a scale neither side could predict. Very well. Said Megatron as he turned around. Oh, and you may bring one other with you if you wish. Dinobot, you're with me. The rest of you stay here and make sure nothing happens to the ship. Ordered Ruby as she and Dinobot walked off. Soon they were in the command center as they plus Adam were the only ones there. Megatron sat down in his command chair as he looked at Ruby. What do you wish to discuss? Asked Megatron as Ruby looked him in the optics. Let's be honest here, the only thing that would make you think we're not important, and that's the aliens. Stated Ruby as Megatron only grinned. And what if it is the aliens? Asked Megatron as if they weren't a problem. Slag it, Megatron. You've seen their power, what they can do. If we don't work together, they will destroy us all. Even the original Megatron and Optimus Prime knew when to put their war on hold for the sake of their lives. Ruby told him as Adam did think about it. Megatron smirked at what Ruby said. And tell me, what makes you think we can win? Megatron asked her as if it was sort of game. Ruby growled as her eyes slightly flashed sliver. Damn it, Megatron. Is this some sort of game to you? Asked Ruby as she balled her fists. Megatron didn't say anything as the two glared at each other. I believe it's time for you to go, said Megatron. I completely agree, said Ruby as she stomped out of the room as Dinobot followed her. Once they were alone, Adam turned to Megatron with an unreadable look on his face. Megatron, I hope for all our sakes you know what you're doing, he told Megatron as he left. A bit later the Maximals were back in the air as Ruby was fuming. Oh, I can see why you left Megatron, Dinobot. I've never seen someone so self-centered in my life, said Ruby as the next time she's fighting Megatron she might aim for his mouth. Dinobot merely scuffed at Ruby said as Megatron had an ego the size of the Darkside. So, did it work? Asked Ruby with a smirk. The package is en route, said Velvet with a grin everyone shared. About an hour later Tarantulas was working on the cell he stole unaware he was being watched. Hey bug boy, said Roman as he walked in making Tarantulas groaned while hiding the core. For the last time human. A spider is an arachnid not a bug, said Tarantulas as Roman grinned as Neo was beside him. What's she doing here? Asked Tarantulas as he did find her semblance interesting. We need to talk, said Roman as he had an unusual serious face. About what? Asked Tarantulas curious. Megatron somewhat spilled the beans to me. And if he's right and I'm terrified if he is, then we might all die, said Roman as Tarantulas was shocked to hear Megatron told someone. Then you know I'm telling you the truth, said Tarantulas as he could use this. Roman nearly lit a cigar as he took a puff of it. You know Tarantulas were a lot alike. We don't trust people easily, we both know we have to look out for ourselves, and above all else we don't show our hands easily, said Roman as he blew smoke in Tarantulas' face. Tarantulas merely waved the smoke away as Roman continued. So that's why I know that your escape plan is just for yourself, accused Roman. Oh, and what if it is? Asked Tarantulas amused. Then there's nothing I can do then, said Roman as he and Neo walked away. Tarantulas glared at the two as he knew something was up. Roman didn't operate like this and it made him wonder what his play was. But what Tarantulas didn't know was Megatron was watching him. Megatron was sitting in the Cybertron version of a bath as a silver-like substance was in the tub. He couldn't help but smirk at Roman. That human is full of surprises, thought Megatron as he sold out Tarantulas to him for protection for himself and Neo. If Megatron didn't know better, he would have thought Roman was a Predacon. But that praise also meant Megatron had to keep a better optic on him. He knew Roman and Adam were getting a coup ready, but they were quiet and careful, making it hard for him to figure anything out. He was so proud of them. But for now, he had bigger problems to deal with. Ah, excellent. And while Tarantulas is distracted. Computer, access the trans-warp cell. Megatron voice code at override, said Megatron as the computer accesses the cell Tarantulas stole. I have some special programming of my own said Megatron as he leaned into his bath. Acknowledge, said the computer as it brought up the cell for Megatron as Megatron laughed. But what no one knew was a certain white tiger had slipped past the guard towers and got into the Darkside. As Tigatron walked through the halls in his beast mode, he was grateful that Ruby's plan worked. While she talked with Megatron, she got him to turn off the defense systems, allowing him to slip in and only had to worry about the guards. But getting in was the easy part. The hard parts now were to find out what Megatron knew and then get out. Tigatron had to stop several times as he heard and smelled people walking about. But he soon found his target, a circuit router for the computer system that was out of the way. Black ship, bad place for this white cat. Have to make it quick, Tigatron said to himself as he transformed and opened the panel. He then opened a compartment on his hip, release a cable. He then attached the cable to the system as his consciousness traveled into the computer system. Now Tigatron saw a grid ground with an 8-sided dice on the top left of his eyesight and a golden Predacon symbol before him. Tigatron pressed 2 sides of the dice as he flew toward the Predacon symbol. He then grabbed it and turned it around, revealing a series of buttons in Cybertron's language. Tigatron then pressed several buttons before turning the symbol around again, before flying through it. Tigatron then entered some sort of tunnel. Tigatron then entered the main computer system as he saw towers with various colors of light coming out of them. Tigatron flew around the space until he saw something of interest. It was a pyramid base with what looked like Megatron head, but all jumbled up on top of it. Figuring he had nothing to lose, Tigatron flew over to it. He then grabbed the jumbled up head and moved parts of it around, until it was Megatron normal head. When he did, the head floated up as Tigatron flew into its bottom. There Tigatron saw dozens of files. They ranged from Megatron's personal projects, to troop numbers, energon locations, and such. But he found the file he was looking for. Tigatron entered the file and gasped. The file showed him the location of the new golden disc. But it also showed him what Megatron was able to learn from it. By the Matrix, said Tigatron in shock and fear from what he just learned. He had to get this to the others, as he copied a few files. Tigatron then felt something tap his shoulder. Knowing he was caught, he disengaged from the system. He then turned his head and saw 3 white fangs and pterosaur there. "Hey there, kitty cat. This isn't your base," said one member with a smirk. "Maybe you should help him remember, Bruiser," suggested another member, as the last one member was a gorilla faunus, if his hairy muscular arms were anything to go by. "Sure thing," said Bruiser with a grin on his face. "What are you 3 doing? You have guns. Use them," screamed Pterosaur as Adam took his gun away. "Did you forget we have a truce going on? And we won't break it. We're not animals," said the first member, offended. "How can you tell?" said Pterosaur lightly into the side, but he was heard. "What was that?" asked Bruiser as he glared at Pterosaur. Seeing that he was forgotten, Tigatron took the chance as he transformed into beast mode and ran. "Look at what you idiots have done," yelled Pterosaur as he pushed them out of the way to chase Tigatron. Seeing Pterosaur run off, Bruiser walked to the wall. "Mom always said work smarter not harder," said Bruiser as he turned the basie's alarm on. As Tigatron ran down the halls, he passed Cinder and her group. "Was that Tigatron?" asked Emerald, confused. "Geez, what's going on here lately?" asked Mercury as they were in the dark. Cinder just gritted her teeth. Megatron said he would teach her, and yet he hasn't said anything to her. It made her blood boil, but if she has learned anything from Megatron, it's that she can't just jump in without some sort of plan. Attention all personnel. Tigatron has infiltrated the base. He is to be captured, but no shooting. The truce is still in effect. I repeat, no shooting, said someone over the intercom as Tigatron ran past some confused White Fang members. Tigatron then stopped as he saw a White Fang in front of him holding a large heavy net. He was about to turn around when Pterosaur came running at him. Tigatron got worried, but then saw a hole leading outside in the wall. Acting fast, Tigatron jumped through the hole as Pterosaur kept running. The White Fang member tossed the net at him and jumped to the side as Pterosaur crashed into the wall in a tangled mess. That was when Adam came over and saw Pterosaur. "What are you doing?" Adam asked the trapped Pred as Pterosaur just growled. Outside the Darkside and several hundreds of miles away stood Rattrap, in robot mode, as he looked towards the Darkside. That was when he saw a flare go up. Seeing that meant mission accomplished, but Tigatron needed help getting out. "There's the signal," Rattrap said to himself as he then activated his comm unit. "Tigatron the Barbarian is doing a bailout," Rattrap told the others as he received replies saying they were ready. With Tigatron, he was running as fast as his legs would carry him. He didn't dare look back as he knew there was probably an army chasing him. And he was right, as nearly every Predacon except Megatron and Scorponic and nearly every White Fang was on his heels. Pterosaur and Inferno took the lead as the two could fly. But Pterosaur was fuming still, so he transformed into beast mode and was planning to use his claws on Tigatron. On a nearby hill, Dinobot and Velvet saw this. "The cat is being overtaken. I will engage. Maximize," declared Dinobot to the others as he transformed and brought out his weapons. "Negative, Dinobot. No weapons. We Maximals will maintain the truce," ordered Optimus over the comms. "But we must stop them," argued Dinobot. "I know. But we must do it peacefully," said Optimus. Dinobot growled as he changed back into beast mode. "Dinobot," said Velvet as Dinobot looked at her. Velvet said nothing as she pointed up a hill at large boulder, causing Dinobot to grin. Back with Tigatron, he was able to lose most of his pursuers by running around and jumping about, but he still had Pterosaur on his tail. Tigatron ran up a hill as he saw a small gap as he jumped over it. Pterosaur was hot on his tail when out of nowhere Yang and Yatsuhashi popped up with a metal sheet between them. Pterosaur's eye went wide as he could stop as he slammed into the sheet of metal. His entire head was stuck as his body went limp from the sudden collision. "Talk about using your head," joked Yang as Yatsuhashi put a hand to his head as he shook it as it was a bad joke. In the air, Optimus and Erizar flew towards the area as Erizar patted Optimus's arm. As she got his attention, she pointed forward as they saw Inferno looking around, as he hadn't seen them yet. "How are we going to handle this?" asked Erizar as the two stopped. "Improvise with what we got," said Optimus as he flew off as Erizar stayed there. That was when Inferno saw her and charged. Unaware that Optimus was flying up behind him, Inferno then felt someone tapping him on his head. Confused, he looked up and saw Optimus, who gave a little wave. Optimus then reached down and pulled the cables that allowed Inferno to fly. Inferno's engine sputtered as he stopped just before Erizar before he fell to the ground like a sack of rocks, screaming all the while. A large group of White Fang were walking about, keeping their eyes open for anything. "Keep on guard. There could be anything out there," said one of them as they had a rock wall to their left. "Good advice," said Weiss with a grin as she then added, "for someone of your standing. It's a Schnee," one of them yelled. "Get her," yelled another as they ran towards Weiss. Weiss grinned as she ran around the rock wall. The White Fang chased after her, but when they did, Weiss was ready for them as she created a large patch of ice under them. The White Fang tried to steady themselves, but the sudden appearance of the ice caught them off guard. Then Blake and Cheater jumped out as Blake tossed Gamble Shroud to Cheater while holding onto the ribbon. The two ran low and kept the ribbon between them low as they tripped up everyone. As the White Fang fell down, as many of them groaned from the impact. Elsewhere, another group of White Fang were looking around when suddenly they grabbed their ears in pain. Up on a nearby hill was Fox and Speedclaw, who was in beast mode. Fox was wearing noise-canceling headphones while he held up a high-tech megaphone to Speedclaw's mouth. "That worked well," said Speedclaw with a smile. The megaphone was designed to reach a pitch that would cause great pain to Faunus. But to the people close to it, it could cause ear damage. So Fox wore the headphones while Speedclaw held into it. "What?" yelled Fox as he saw Speedclaw mouth move but didn't hear him. Hearing that, Speedclaw gave him a deadpan look. Coco, Boomer, and Bladigator stood as they saw another group of White Fang being stopped by landslip they caused. No one got hurt, but it slowed them down greatly. Another squad saw Ruby with her back to them. Seeing this, they grinned and smiled. Ruby was high target for them, and if they got her, then Megatron and Atom would be very happy with them. They were ready to charge her when Ruby turned around. But for some reason she was wearing a gas mask. Seeing this confused the White Fang as Ruby pointed up. Confused, they looked up and saw Skyshooter, in beast mode, as he dropped 2 orbs on them. The orbs broke and a gas was released. They took one whiff of it and instantly covered their noses. "Oh, it stinks," cried one as his eyes were watering. "It's worse than Pepe after he works out," another one said. Said person, as he was a skunk Faunus, was there as he looked around confused. "I don't smell anything," he said in a French accent. Ruby all the while calmly walked away as she was grateful for the gas mask. "We're the only ones left," said one White Fang as their group followed Blackarachnia and Tarantulas. "Keep your voice down," said Tarantulas as he looked around. That was when they saw Dinobot and Velvet walking away. Seeing this, Tarantulas motioned them to move forward. But every one of them made an X with their arms and shook their heads no. Tarantulas sighed as he walked forward but stopped when he saw leaves on the ground. He tapped the leaves with his foot and saw them move down. Seeing this, Tarantulas smirked as it seemed Dinobot had lost his edge. He then jumped over the leaves as he landed with a loud thump. The shockwave from it caused a small rock to move that was holding a boulder in place. The boulder then started to roll down, as all Tarantulas could do was frown. "Why me?" he asked himself as he got flattened by the boulder. Dinobot chuckled at the sight as Velvet was glad her plan worked. On the other side of the boulder, Blackarachnia sighed. "Come on, let's get him out," she told the others as they lost. By now most of the Maximals were regrouping near Yang's and Yatsuhashi's location. Many of them laughed at the sight of Pterosaur walking around with his head trapped in the metal. Hearing them, enraged Pterosaur as he transformed, freeing himself. He looked at the Maximals, who were laughing at him as he was ready to break the truce and fire at him. He then heard someone whistling at him. Looking over, Pterosaur saw Rattrap holding up a red sheet as he waved it at him. Not thinking clearly, Pterosaur charged at Rattrap. Seeing this, Rattrap grinned. Once Pterosaur was close enough, Rattrap moved the red sheet away to reveal Rhinox, in beast mode, with his rear pointed his way. Seeing this, Pterosaur tried to stop, but like before, he was going too fast. He crashed into Rhinox's rear as Rhinox sat down on him. Seeing this made the Maximals laugh even harder. "This is great," said Yang as she took a picture as she laughed. "Peaceful," said Dinobot as he stood beside Optimus. "Very peaceful," said Optimus with a smirk. They then saw Rhinox shake his rear on Pterosaur as the bot cried out in pain. "Let's go home, people," said Optimus as they started to head out. In the Darkside, Megatron, Scorponic, Atom, and Roman watched as the troops slowly made their way back in various states. "Darn, he got away. It was close though," said Scorponic, glad he didn't go out. "Yes, when one is severing bait, presentation is everything," said Megatron as he knew what the Maximals were planning all along. Hearing that did not make either Atom or Roman happy. They felt that Megatron was pushing it too far this time and were getting worried about what could happen. Oh. Vale, Patch, Axelon. Everyone had just gotten back to the Axelon as teams RWBY and CFVY were bragging about how they fought without their weapons. As they got inside, Ozpin and Glinda were there waiting for them. "Welcome back, everyone," said Ozpin as he looked at his students. "And I'm proud of all of you for thinking of ways to fight without fighting." Hearing that made them brim with pride, but the moment got ruined by Rattrap. "Hey, that good and all, but I for one would like to know what we were fighting for," he told everyone as they looked at Tigatron for answers. Tigatron went to the console and downloaded the files he got. Everyone gasped when the hologram of the golden disc appeared. Megatron has found a strange golden disc of alien origins. It was activated recently. "That was the energy anomaly I reported," said Tigatron, making everyone nervous. "Another golden disc," said Optimus as it made him wonder. "Coincidence? Maybe," said Rhinox, unsure himself. "On this planet, anything seems possible," said Speedclaw as he turned to their organic allies. "No offense. None taken," said Ozpin as he was starting to think that too. "It has moving symbols. Megatron has somehow translated them," continued Tigatron. "Cool, what it say?" asked Cheater, curious. "Yeah mate, don't keep us in suspense," added Boomer. "It was designed to be a beacon. The aliens, the ones who seeded this planet with Energon, the ones who created that flying island that almost destroyed us," said Tigatron as everyone was getting nervous. "Yes, what are you saying? What have you discovered?" asked Optimus, hoping it wasn't what he thought it was. "They're coming," Tigatron told everyone as everyone got scared. Everyone gasped or took a step back in fear. Ozpin even dropped his cane while Weiss unconsciously took a step closer to Ruby. "They're on their way here. And I don't think they're very happy," finished Tigatron solemnly. "Well, that's just prime," was all Optimus could say. Oh. Atlas. Later that night, Ironwood sat in his office as he was listening to what the Maximals had found out from Ozpin. "Thank you, Ozpin, for telling me this," said Ironwood with an unreadable face. "James, promise me you won't do anything crazy," said Ozpin as he was worried about him. "I'll do what I must, Ozpin," said Ironwood as he ended the call. Ironwood then got up and looked out his window. As he looked at Atlas, he dialed a number on his scroll. "Clover, assemble your team. I have your most important mission yet," said Ironwood with a serious look on his face. Chapter 33. Arrogance of Man. Vacuo. It was a quiet, cloudy night in Vacuo as a lone black jet flew through the air. Inside the jet were 6 people as a robot flew the ship. Each person wore a black wingsuit as 5 of them had helmets on covering their faces. The only one not wearing a helmet was General Ironwood. Ironwood looked out the window as he saw the sands were starting to turn into lava pools and rivers. Seeing this meant they were getting closer to their target. He then stood up and stood before the others. Alright people, we're nearing the target point. I need to remind you all that this is a stealth mission. We are going to wingsuit down to the enemy base. Once there we will find and locate the golden disc. Once the disc is secured, we will be excreted by a flyby. Are there any questions? Asked Ironwood as one hand raised as he nodded at the person. What if we can't find this disc? Asked a young male. Megatron won't let the disc out of his sight for long. The most logical place will be his quarters. Answered Ironwood as the lights in the ship turned yellow. Seeing this meant they were getting close as Ironwood put his helmet on. They stood near the door at the back of the ship. The door then opened as they looked down at Vacuo's most unlivable area. Soon the light changed to green as everyone jumped out of the ship. As they fell they brought their bodies close together but then spread out as wings were attached to their arms and legs. They then glided down as they saw the Darkside in the distance. As Ironwood was focused on the target in front of him, his troops were taking in everything. The area of Vacuo they were in was some of the worst to be in. Even those whose crimes were so great they would give them the death penalty refused to come here. As they got closer to the Darkside they could see watchtowers, or more accurate watchtowers that were being dismantled. Seeing this confused them a little as they wondered why they were doing this. Soon they saw their target. All 6 of them aimed for the middle of the Darkside's roof as they released their parachutes and landed on the hull. Seeing they were safe they started to take off their wingsuits and gathered their gear. This revealed the 5 that Ironwood brought with him. The first was the only Faunus member of the group. He's a young male with long greenish-black hair that is tied in a bun with blue eyes. He wore an Atlesian specialist uniform, that consists of a white double-breasted coat with silver buttons, blue accents, a collar, and shoulder flaps with matching cuffs that have 2 silver buttons. The coat's tail splits near the end. He also has on a dark blue belt with a silver buckle around his waist with a dark blue pouch on the right side. He has a red ascot tied around his neck with a red shirt under his coat. Finally, he wore dark blue trousers tucked into his black knee-high boots. His Faunus trait is a dark gray canine tail that could be seen under his coat. This is Mero Amin. Next was a tall younger muscular woman with medium brown hair and a short ponytail. She had brown tanned skin and brown eyes. She also wore an Atlesian specialist uniform, that consists of an open white, one-sleeved crop jacket with dark blue accents, shoulder flaps, a collar, and dark gray armor shirt. She has on silver vambraces over her forearms. She has on a red belt around her white pants. An interesting thing was she was barefoot. She had some foot traps alongside dark blue calf plates that cover the top of her feet. On her back she has a magnet she uses to carry her weapon. Finally, she wore a silver hoop earring on her right ear. This is Elm Eddern. Next was the last female of the group. She is a dark-skinned with platinum blonde and brown hair that is shaved on the sides and dark pink eyes. She wore an Atlesian specialist uniform with short sleeves. She wore a sleeveless white double-breasted vest with silver buttons and dark blue accents. Her uniform was white with a dark blue collar and a dark blue short-sleeved t-shirt underneath, a red tie and white shorts. She wore blue fingerless gloves and dark gray trainers with black accents and white stripe accompanied with red socks. This is Harriet Bree. Next was a tall man with deathly pale skin with short shaved gray hair and light blue eyes. She had on several tattoos including a third eye tattoo along the center of his forehead. He wore an Atlesian specialist uniform that consists of a white double-breasted, and a partially unbuttoned coat with a broad tail with navy blue accents, a collar, and shoulder flaps. He also had on a red sash that runs diagonally over his left shoulder that meets a second red sash around his waist that's under a large blue belt. He had on blue fingerless gloves that went up to his brachium. He also wore navy blue pants that were tucked into a pair of blue thigh-high boots with steel toes and a small pouch on the sides. Around his neck he wore beaded necklaces and around his right arm, and 2 sliver bands on his left. This is Vine Zeki. Finally, was the last member of the group. He was a man with short brown hair and teal-green eyes. He wore an Atlesian specialist uniform that consists of a white sleeveless double-breasted coat with red and blue accents with ornate detailing shaped to the form of wishbones. It also had a broad tail with red linings and a 4-leaf clover pin on the lapel. On his belt he had a rabbit foot keychain on it. He also wears white pants and wore brown fingerless gloves. He wore blue calf-high boots with silver steel toe plating. This was the leader of the Ace Ops Clover Ebby. Ironwood looked at the Ace Ops as they were ready as he nodded. They then left the roof and made their way down the hull. They then found an open section of the hull. After making sure it was clear, the 6 of them entered the ship. They carefully moved forward to avoid any form of detection. But luck was on their side as they've seen no one so far. But that luck ran out. As Ironwood checked a corner, he told his team to stop as he saw Adam and the lieutenant talking. "How goes the guard tower deconstructions?" asked Adam as he was looking over things on a tablet. "We've about 73% done," answered the lieutenant as he added. "But why are we doing this?" Adam looked up from the tablet as he answered. "We don't know how or when the aliens will attack us. With less ground to cover, the more we can focus our efforts on the Darkside alone." "Sir, are you sure we should stay here?" asked the lieutenant as he was one of the men on board with Adam and Roman. "I understand what you're saying. But do you know of a safer place we can go right now?" asked Adam as they both knew other than the Axelon there wasn't. "I understand, sir," said the lieutenant as both walked off away from Ironwood's group. Ironwood then motioned the Ace Ops to move forward. As they did, the Ace Ops couldn't help but wonder how much the White Fang knew about what was coming. Or was it an act, and if it was an act, did they know that they've been infiltrated, or in case they were? But they couldn't think about it any longer as they've reached their destination. Megatron's personal quarters. Making sure it was clear, Ironwood began to hack the door. After a couple of minutes, he succeeded and they made their way inside the room. Looking around, the Ace Ops wondered what half the stuff in here was or does. But they put those thoughts to the side as they saw the disc being held in anti-gravity projector. Ironwood smirked as he walked over to the disc and reached out to grab it, only for his hand to go through it. "What?" was all Ironwood could say. Then a current of electricity came out of the projector, catching Ironwood and the Ace Ops. The power wasn't very high, but none of them could move because of it. "I can't move," said Elm as she was one of the stronger members. "What's happening?" asked Marrow, scared. "What's happening is," started a voice as Megatron as he spun around in his chair. Seeing this, the Ace Ops kicked themselves for not checking the chair. "You're my prisoners," finished Megatron as he then got a good look at them. "Wait, General Ironwood," said Megatron in surprise. This was the last person he thought would come for the new golden disc. And as such wasn't sure what to do with him and his troops. Megatron increased the power of the projector as more electricity went through them. Ironwood and the Ace Ops screamed in pain as their auras couldn't help them with this. Soon all of them passed out from the pain. The last thing Ironwood saw Megatron's smirking face. When Ironwood started to wake up, he heard people talking. "Okay, so what now?" asked Roman as Ironwood saw him, Megatron and Adam on hover platforms looking down at him. That was when he saw he and the Ace Ops were in cage being suspended over a pool of lava. "Roman's right, we've got bigger problems to deal with than them," agreed Adam. "I know. But aren't you at all curious about how the good general knows about this place?" asked Megatron as he brought up a good point as Adam thought about it. "Then Opin must know as well," said Adam as Roman huffed. "I doubt it. I've heard that Ironwood been busy making plans behind Opin back. Apparently, he thinks he better than Opin or something." Roman told them as those were some of the rumors he heard. "That's not true," said Ironwood weakly, causing the three to look at him. "Look who's awake," said Roman as Megatron and Ironwood were having a glaring match. Adam and Roman said nothing as both were concerned. They had bigger problems with the aliens coming, and the last thing they needed was the general here and his troops. But both had different thoughts on the matter. Adam wanted to deal with the general as he supported the Schnees, but he wanted to enjoy it and not rush it. While Roman knew they had a powder keg on their hands. If the general was missing too long, then people will start looking and asking questions they did want asked. "How did you find us?" asked Megatron, breaking Adam and Roman out of their thoughts. "Why do you care?" replied Ironwood. "Because you could have only learnt about us via two ways. Either Winter Schnee told you or you were recruited by the Maximals," said Megatron as Ironwood said nothing. "I see. So you know about both then," said Megatron, surprising Ironwood. "What, but I said nothing," said Ironwood, not understanding how. "Exactly, you said nothing nor did nothing when I said those names, meaning you knew," said Megatron as the others did warn Ironwood about Megatron's cunning. "Adam, Roman, come, we have much to discuss," said Megatron as the three left. Seeing they were alone, Ironwood looked around. The cage was being suspended by a cable, or he thinks, as he couldn't see because of the roof. The only exit he knew of was above them. The walls were bare with nothing to grab onto. He then took the bars and felt a shock go through his hands. Seeing this, Ironwood knew they were in trouble. No one knew where they were. And with the way the cage was, they had no means of escape from first glance. Ironwood sat there as he had a defeated look on his face. Oh. Vale, Beacon. At Beacon, Team RWBY sat in an empty classroom as they did a test. When they fought the Predacons and White Fang without weapons, they missed a test. But Opin allowed them a chance to do it later, but he wasn't going to do it again without a good reason. As they did the test, Glinda was marking other tests. She then heard one of the girls' scroll vibrate on the desk as she took them so they would be distracted. While she did appreciate that Optimus was taking their education serious, she wasn't about to let a group message distract them. She then looked at the time and saw they were done. "Pens down, ladies," said Glinda as she stood up. The girls put their pens down as Glinda collected their tests from them. "Boy, am I glad that's over," said Yang as she had a hard time with the test. "Maybe if you studied more," said Weiss as she found it easy. "Personally, I struggled too," said Ruby as she rubbed the back of her head. "What do you mean, Ruby?" asked Blake, curious. "Well, since the test was on the Great War, every time I thought hard about the war, I would sometimes access the Matrix and get the wrong war," said Ruby with a nervous chuckle as the others, including Glinda, looked at her. "I hope you didn't put down the wrong information," said Weiss as she wasn't expecting that. "Don't worry, I didn't," said Ruby as she picked up her scroll. She saw she had a message. Curious, she opened it and the color drained from her face. "Sis, what's wrong?" asked Yang, concerned for her sister. "Emergency meeting at the Axelon now," ordered Ruby in a deadly serious tone. "Miss Rose, what's wrong?" asked Glinda, worried. "Ironwood has been captured by Megatron," said Ruby as everyone's eyes went wide and no one said anything. Oh. Vale, Patch, Axelon. The Maximals have had some serious talks before, but none were like this. When Ruby informed everyone what she learned, the first response was shock. They then contacted Winter to confirm, and unfortunately, she did confirm their fears. Now they're talking about what to do. "So what do we do?" asked Cheater as the truce was still in effect. "For booting up cold, we should leave him," said Rattrap with a huff. "Rattrap, you can't be serious," said Weiss in disbelief. "Why not? It's not like Ironwood was truly part of our team. He was always saying we should do this or that. And now he's gone off without telling anyone anything. He's getting what he deserves," said Rattrap as some of the others agreed with him. "I somewhat agree with you there, Rattrap," said Opin as everyone looked at him. "But we cannot leave him there." "Why not, mate?" asked Boomer, confused. "He went there on his own without telling us anything. And we're still in the middle of a truce with the Predacons. We can't go in guns a-blazing to get him. And then there's the aliens. They could show up at any moment," added Speedclaw as they couldn't forget that. "But we can't leave the general. He knows everything about Atlas," said Winter as that information in Megatron's hands could be deadly. "That, and he's both the headmaster of Atlas Academy and head of their military. If he's gone too long, then people will notice and panic," added Opin as the others thought about it. "That is true," said Dinobot, as the knowledge Ironwood knows could be deadly to Atlas and maybe to them. "But how do we get him out?" asked Rhinox. Hearing that no one said anything as they had nothing. That was until Kiro spoke up. "Is it just Jimmy or does he have others with him?" asked Kiro, confusing the others a bit. "He had the Ace Ops with him. It's a 5-man squad," answered Winter, confused as to why Kiro wanted this information. Kiro was in thought as he mumbled a few times to himself. "Or any of them, Faunus?" he asked Winter. "Just one," she told Kiro, as that was the last information he needed. "I've got a plan, but I should warn you, it's extremely dangerous," Kiro told the others as they talked to each other. "What's your plan?" asked Optimus, curious. "We have Blake and Velvet disguised as White Fang members infiltrate the Darkside. From there they'll find Jimmy and his men. Once they free them, their one Faunus member will also disguise themselves as a White Fang member. From there they have to think of a way out," said Kiro as Optimus, Skyshooter, Ruby and Opin thought about it. "Kiro, you can't be serious. Blake and Velvet are still students," said Glinda, furious. It wouldn't be the first time I've infiltrated that place, said Blake as this surprised a lot of them. But how will they get in? Asked Erazar curious. I have an acquaintance who's in the know with the White Fang. They warned me that the White Fang have been stocking up on supplies lately. We'll get you two in that way, said Kiro as the others weren't sold on this idea. Then how did they get out? Asked Yang worried for her friend. Listen, I know this isn't a good plan. A lot can go wrong. But if someone can think of a better plan, we'll go with it, said Kiro as he had a point. Blake, Velvet, said Optimus gaining everyone's attention. What do you two think? The two girls looked at each other as they nodded. We're in, said Blake as most of the Maximals were worried and nervous. Good luck, said Opin as they're going to need it and then some. I want to make something clear though. Your mission is to get Ironwood and his team out. Nothing else. If Ironwood refuses, leave him, your safety is more important, said Optimus as Opin agreed with him as much as he hated to. The two then headed up to get ready as the other wished they could help them in some way. Vacuo, Darkside. A few hours later, a truck parked at the Darkside as White Fang members started to unload the crates inside. As they did this, no one noticed a cat and rabbit fauna slipping away. As the two walked down the halls, they acted natural until they were out of sight. So far so good, said Velvet nervous. This is the easy part, Velvet. Finding Ironwood and the others and getting out will be hard, said Blake as she kept an eye out. Well, Rattrap said he was kept in a cell over lava, once. Wouldn't that be a good place to start? Suggested Velvet as Blake agreed as they didn't have anywhere better to go. But as the two left, the wall near them changed to reveal Neo. Neo grinned as she pulled out her scroll and sent a message. She then followed the two. As the girls walked trying to find the lava cell, they had no idea where to go. The dark side was a light maze to them. You too, said a voice making them stop and turn around. Turning, Blake's blood went cold as Adam stood there. I want you two to take the prisoners their food, ordered Adam as he pointed to a nearby cart with food on it. Was all Blake could say as Adam looked at her. Is there something wrong? Adam questioned them. I'm sorry sir, we just don't know which way to go, said Velvet covering for them. Take the tablet on the cart to find your way, said Adam as he left. Seeing he was gone, the two relaxed a little. They looked at the cart and shrugged. They now go their way to Ironwood and his team. And with that, the two took the cart and headed off. Watching them leave was Adam. He knew that the cat Faunus was Blake. After all, he doubted Neo would pull a prank like that on him, at least with everything that was going on. Part of him wanted to make her pay right here and now. But the other part that knew he had bigger problems to deal with. But next time will be different. The aliens had tech that he never thought of before, and from what he has learned in the past, they had more power than anyone on Remnant. And having Ironwood prisoner right now was more trouble than his worth. After all, when others find out about him missing, the Schnee in the military will go to the Maximals for help, and then they'll try to get him back. But it would seem they're still upholding the truce. So this one time he'll let them do what they want, to an extent. He doubts they'll go for the disc once they free Ironwood, so he's not going to worry. That, and Neo is following them just in case. In the holding cell, Harriet was pacing. As she went back and forth, the others were getting a bit annoyed with her pacing. Harriet, please calm down, said Vine as he sat in a mediating pose. Calm down? Asked Harriet in disbelief. We're prisoners of an evil alien warlord. There's no surprise, said Marrow, annoyed, making Harriet glare at him. And what's that supposed to mean? Asked Harriet as he started to march over to him, only to be stopped by Elle. She does have a point, Marrow. What did you mean by that? Asked Clover, curious. Marrow sighed as he answered. We rushed this. We didn't take the time to learn anything about this place or the Transformers. I wouldn't be surprised if they saw us coming and let us in. Hearing that, the other Ace Ops understood where he was coming from. There was a lot of unknowns in this mission. Maybe too much. But when the general gives the order, they follow through with it. Good soldiers follow orders, said Harriet, annoyed. Even when you know they're wrong? Questioned Marrow as he stood up and glared at her. The other Ace Ops said nothing. Marrow was their youngest member and is such inexperienced, but they could help somewhat, agreeing with what he was saying. Listen, we can finish this talk later. But for now we need to find a way out, said Clover, trying to keep Harriet from killing Marrow. Do you think the Maximals will send a rescue party when they find out about this? Asked Vine curious. They won't, said Ironwood, as this was the first thing he said in a while. Why not, sir? Asked Elm confused. Because they don't have the determination to do what needs to be done, said Ironwood with a stern face. No, it's because they're not stupid, said a voice from above them. Looking over, they saw 2 White Fang members come down. But the weird thing was they were both using a platform each. They then took off their masks, revealing themselves to be Blake and Velvet. Blake, Velvet, what are you two doing here? Asked Ironwood in surprise. Getting you lot out of here, said Blake as Velvet opened the door for them. Seeing the open door, none of them needed to be told what to do, as they all got onto the platforms and the 2 girls had them go up. Once out of the holding cell area, Blake went to where the cart was and got a White Fang uniform and tossed it to Marrow, who caught it. What's this for? Asked Marrow confused as he looked at the uniform. It will be better if you disguise yourself. And it would make more sense for 3 White Fang to guard 5 prisoners than 2 guarding 6. Explained Blake as Marrow looked at Clover, who nodded in agreement, so he slipped to the side and changed. So what's our escape plan? Asked Clover curious as Velvet looked nervous. We do have an escape plan, right? Asked Elm nervous. Not yet, answered Velvet nervously as she added. Getting in was the easy part, but we didn't know the state any of you would be in nor where you were being held, so we had no way to make an escape plan. Hearing that, most of the Ace Ops agreed with that, except Harriet. You came here without an escape plan, she nearly yelled at them, making Velvet shrink down. Say the person who came here without telling anyone and got caught, countered Blake with an even glare as she then looked at the tablet. We're close to their ground bridge. If we're lucky, we might be able to get there without being seen, Blake told them as the ships and other transports were in use right now. We don't have to worry about luck, said Clover boastfully with a grin as both Blake and Velvet looked at him as if that was true, then they wouldn't be here. Then out of nowhere, Ironwood took the tablet out of Blake's hand and looked at it. If we head the other way, we should be able to find the disc. Once we have the disc, then we'll leave, Ironwood told his team as Blake took the tablet back from Ironwood. No, said Blake with a stern face. What do you mean no? Questioned Ironwood, annoyed. Our mission is to get you out, and just that. We were even told to leave you if you refuse, said Blake, surprising the Ace Ops a bit. Ironwood couldn't believe what he just heard. Opin was willing to leave him, after everything he has done for the man. He was being tossed to the side. Ironwood's fist shook with anger, but then stopped when Velvet spoke up. Please sir, this is bigger than just you. You're the headmaster of Atlas's Huntsman Academy and the leader of its army. What do you think will happen when people realize you're missing? And you know Atlas better than anyone. If Megatron can get that info out of you, who know what will happen to Atlas? Pleaded Velvet with her eyes starting to water. Ironwood looked over to his team and saw they were silently agreeing with her. Velvet did make some good points. There were those would use his disappearance to their gain. And while he would never willing give any information up, who to say they couldn't probe his mind for it? So with a heavy sigh, Ironwood made up his mind. Very well, we'll exit the Darkside, was all he said. This surprised the others. They weren't expecting him to say that. As they headed to the ground bridge, Neo appeared and sent a message to Adam and Roman, say, they got the general and his idiots. Now going to the ground bridge. Neo then got a thumbs up reply. She then smirked as she vanished as her job was done. Vale, Patch, Axelon. Some time later, after getting to the ground bridge without problem, they ground bridged to an isolated part of Vale and then called the Maximals for a bridge. Once at the Axelon, the Maximals started to check Ironwood and the Ace Ops for any injuries and any sort of other surprises. Well, you're all clear, Rhinox told Ironwood and the Ace Ops. Good, was all Ironwood said as he saw everyone glaring at him in some sort of way. Now that's out of the way, said Optimus as he marched right up to Ironwood as he got right into his face. Seeing this, the Ace Ops were ready to move but saw the other Maximals giving them warning looks. Let me be clear, if this ever happens again, there will be no rescue attempt. We will leave you there, regardless of what happens to Atlas, stated Optimus with an annoyed look on his face. You would leave a comrade behind? Questioned Ironwood with a straight face. Huh, said Rattrap as he was leaning against the wall. You our comrade, that's rich. And what do you mean by that? asked Ironwood, annoyed. Well, you never help us, you always complain about how we do things, you always act like you know more, and that's just off the top of my head, said Rattrap as he counted a few reasons. We even had you fight Dinobot once, mate, because you thought you knew better, added Boomer as this caught the Ace Ops by surprise. Ironwood was nearly growling at all this. He was doing the right thing and they all couldn't see it. We're leaving, was all Ironwood said as he headed for the lift. The Ace Ops followed closely behind, while Winter looked a little unsure. She then felt a hand on her shoulder and saw it was Kiro, who gave her a nod. After the whole Rhinox and Ruby getting poisoned event, the two started to understand each other better. So if Kiro said to go, then she would listen to him. But before the lift closed, Ruby walked up to them. General, I know you think you did the right thing here, but every action has a consequence. Be it on the field or behind a desk. And what you did today was put Atlas at risk with this. Megatron now knows that you know about him, and it will be a matter of time before he comes for you and Atlas, warned Ruby as Optimus and Dinobot agreed with her. The lift then went down and Ironwood did think about what she said, but he wasn't the only one. Opin thought about Ruby's words as he made up his mind about something important. Vacuo, Darkside. So they've escaped? Asked Megatron as he just received a report about Ironwood and his forces were gone. Yes. When the people went down to give them their dinner, they found them gone, informed Adam as he, Roman and Cinder were in the command area. The general must have had more forces nearby than we thought, said Roman as Cinder gave the two a look. Are you expecting us to believe that Ironwood forces broke into here and got him out without anyone knowing? Questioned Cinder as both men glared at her. If you have something to say, say it, said Adam in a warning tone. I agree, said Megatron. How could 7+ people get out of the Darkside without anyone knowing? Let alone the people who broke into here, said Cinder as she then added. Is this an attempt to undermine Megatron? Hearing that both Adam and Roman were about ready to attack her and her I'm better than you attitude. But Megatron beat them to it, at least verbally. Cinder, I must warn you, if you make such claims without proof, I won't protect you from what may happen, warned Megatron as he added. And maybe you're right, but words alone won't prove it. Megatron then got up as he pulled out the new golden disc and grinned at it. But for now, we have bigger concerns, and losing Ironwood might be a small lose for now. But we gained something much larger, said Megatron with a grin. And what's that? Asked Cinder, curious. Information. We now know Ironwood know about us and the Maximals. And as such there is a high chance the other headmasters know of us as well. Megatron told them as that made the three wonder what they'll do. But for now we will focus on the aliens, and when the dust settles, we will then choose what to do, said Megatron as he looked at the disc again. If we survive, said Roman as no one said anything as he had a point. Atlas Academy. Ironwood sat in his office alone as he was deep in thought. Now that he was alone and calmed down, he was thinking a little straighter. That was when he heard a knock on the door. Enter, he told the person on the other side. The door opened and Opin walked in. Opin, said Ironwood in surprise. How and why are you here? Well, ground bridges make for fast travels. As for why I'm here, I came to check up on a friend and bring a present, said Opin as he then held up a bottle of scotch. Ironwood smiled as it was his favorite brand from Vale. Then come in, said Ironwood as he grabbed 2 glasses and sat them down. Opin then poured some scotch into the glasses as the two took a sip from them. The two men sighed as they enjoyed the taste of the scotch. I needed that, said Ironwood as he then looked at Opin. Okay, let's have it. Have what? Asked Opin a little confused. We both know this scotch is to sober your speech, said Ironwood as he finished his glass. Not today, James. Today I came here as a friend, said Opin, surprising James a little. Hearing that, James sighed in relief. After listening to the Maximals, he was good on lectures. But I will say this, James, started Opin, making Ironwood sigh a little. You've put not only Atlas at risk, but the other kingdoms and schools as well, was all Opin said. But what I did was for the world, countered Ironwood. I know, but if you got the disc and got out, what then? I doubt you have the resources here to find out its secrets. And who knows who the Maximals would react to that, said Opin as he had a point. But it's better than doing nothing, said Ironwood. Maybe. But who know how much time we have before the aliens arrive? Opin told Ironwood as Ironwood picked up something. Opin, are you scared? Asked Ironwood curious. Yes, said Opin as he looked out the window before continuing. James, they have a race of living machines scared. They have technology no one has ever dreamed of. And who knows what they're going to do when they get here. All the more reason to have that disc, stated Ironwood as Opin sighed. James, can I be truthful with you? Asked Opin confusing Ironwood. Of course, said Ironwood confused. When we were discussing you joining our group, many were concerned about your semblance, James. That you would shut us all out. After hours of discussion, it was reached that you'd be allowed to join us. Opin told Ironwood, who was in shock. I never knew this. Thought Ironwood thought that would explain the reactions he got when he first joined. He then realized something Opin said. What was that about my semblance? Asked Ironwood confused. Your semblance metal helps you strengthen your resolve, James, but to quote Kiro, it gives you tunnel vision. You refuse to look at other angles, listen to what other people have to say. You just think your way is the only way, said Opin, shocking Ironwood. Opin, you know I would never, trailed off Ironwood from the look Opin was giving him. Then explain today, asked Opin as Ironwood had no answer. James, your actions today have put all of Atlas at risk, if we survive this. Was all Opin said as Ironwood got a little annoyed by Opin. Then what about her? Asked Ironwood. She knows about the Beast Wars and it's only a matter of time before she makes a real appearance. Opin, they've seen her and know that someone is controlling the Grim. I'm going to tell them about her, said Opin, surprising Ironwood. What? Was all he could say. If we survive the aliens, I'm going to tell the Maximals everything, said Opin, as he meant everything. Ironwood didn't know what to say as it was Opin's idea to stay quiet. But now he was going to tell them everything. Then for some reason he remembered Ruby's word about how actions have consequences. Maybe she was right about that. But neither man said anything else as they stood there, both wondering what was going to happen in the future and if they were going to survive it. And this is the end of part 16 of this What If. Do not forget to leave a comment down below, subscribe to this channel.